Is recording now? Dr. Daniel, you are on mute. Dr. Daniel? We cannot hear you. You are on mute. Hello?
Hello. Sorry, please.
We can hear you now. Thank you.
So we'll start straight away. So today we'll be looking at printers. I want to believe we'll be doing our assessment. But before we take on this course, I would like to take an approach. Is it possible we just do the quiz for chapter 8? Let me see our knowledge level on printers generally before. Is it possible, Marilyn?
That we just do the quiz?
Yes, let's quiz, not the chapter exam, the quiz. I just want to see the score. Is it possible now?
But you mean doing it right now?
Yes, right now. I just want to check and see what our knowledge level is on printers. Is it possible?
It's possible from my side. Guys, do
you
want to?
I think we have just a few questions, 10 questions. I have them here, just 10 questions. And we could just do that for, say, about 10 minutes. That will be fine. Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to see your score, see the ones you failed, and just that will help me to explain this better.
Okay. Teachers, can you unmute and answer if you have understood that we are going to do the quiz for chapter 8 right now?
Are we there? Can we hear me, please? Wow, I don't think they're hearing me.
Teachers?
Hello?
Yes, I can.
Hello, Margot Simon. I just want us to attempt the printer. I just want to see your score, see what you're able to see.
Yeah, we are there.
Okay, can we just do that now?
Yeah,
the next?
since it's a trial, I think.
Yeah, it's a trial, not the quiz, not the exam. Quiz.
Is it hello?
The quiz. Let's just attempt quiz. I just want to use that.
Okay.
I think. Hello.
Yes, the quiz. Can we just attempt quiz for printers? Let me see your submission.
Some of us are using a mobile phone. We can't access it on the mobile phone.
No, you can't. You can't be able to access it. It's just on the letter card.
Okay, let me see.
Sure, you can. So just 10 minutes. I'll be able to check your score and see the ones you got right, the ones you didn't get. So that will be in 10 minutes time. I will just have to start.
Sorry, you mean each person going to do it, right?
Yes, everyone should attend the course, not the
Unfortunately, I'm not able to access my phone. I'm just on right now.
The quiz, I said, not the exam.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not able to access my network card on my phone, unless, of course, for the computer. Right now, I'm using the phone for the day.
Okay, those who can do that will attempt that, and those who have issues, no problem. Just want to have Okay, so the few of us that can do that, that's fine. To help me to understand your knowledge level before it. So we just have 9 more minutes.
Okay.
Hello, are we through? Check. Yeah, are we done?
Hello. I'm done. I don't know about the.
Yeah, let me check. What end? Who else is through? So how was it like? Fine? Like, hello?
Teacher, any of you have finished
Yeah, the quiz.
quiz?
Are you done?
They say they are trying, but it's not responding.
Okay. Let me just check those who have done that. Okay. Only you? Okay. Okay. Seeing two, just to attempt. Oh. Okay. Okay. Seeing. Okay. Marilyn, we have some folks who haven't, I think so many of them who have not attempted any of the chapters. And that will be too good for.
Yeah, as I told you, some of the teachers are working till late, and they will try during the weekends, and they couldn't yet.
Okay.
So we agreed working in the weekend in two of the chapters.
Okay. 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 So let's go ahead. I'm seeing some of the questions that wasn't right. Okay. So we'll be looking at printers, and then let's look at the objective for this course. And so we're going to be looking at printer features, the characteristics and capabilities of printers. We're going to also identify printer connectors and ports. We'll look at printer type comparison. We also talk about the parts and characteristics of inkjet printers, the parts and characteristics of laserjet, that's laser printers, and then we'll look at laser printers, how they operate, the parts and characteristics of thermal printers, and impact printers. Then we'll also look at the characteristics of virtual printers, and the part and characteristics of the 3D printers. I think whole lot of, and then installing and configuring printers, installing updated device driver, firmware, and RAM for the printer, how to configure settings in printer to optimize printing performance, sharing printers, configure that's under the sharing of printers. We also look at how to configure printer sharing, configure printer sharing using the print server, explain and troubleshoot printers, and explain the vendor guidelines and the importance of appropriate operational environments for printers, implement preventive maintenance on inkjet printing. This is actually a hands-on topic as well, which requires the instructors to demonstrate this, especially in the lab with one or two printers, so that students will to know how to share printers and do some basic troubleshooting and maintenance on printers. And so let's look at the characteristics of printers. You can see the inkjet there. In printer, we can see the 3D printer. You can see the laser printer. You can see the impact printer. You can see the thermal printer. And all these printers have the features, the advantages and disadvantages, which of course we need to let the student know from the angle of cost implications, from the angle of what this printer can do. And because one, if you're going to buy a printer, you need to ask yourself what what you want the printer to do for you. And then what is your budget for the printer you're looking at? So I think the first thing is what the printer will do, the volume of work you want to do, the kind of printout you want to get, and then you also want to look at the durability of the printer, and you want to see if the printer can actually meet the task ahead, depending on the activities of the organization and what they do. So I think all that are factors that has to be looked into before deciding the kind of printer to use. Okay, so the printer speed. So the criteria and capabilities you'll be looking at is printer speed, quality, and color. So speed and quality, you're looking at the measure in pages per minute. So how many pages can you be able to print per minute? So these are metrics which should be looked into that determine the capability of printers. So you look at the speed and quality. So in terms of the quality, you measure it in dots per inch. Dot per inch. Dot per inch tells the quality of the printer. And then color could be cyan, could be magenta, it could be yellow. Black for inkjet is the base, or gray color. So you can actually choose between these. But then when it comes to color, you discover that you're either having this set of colors or you're having a mix of it. So that will give you the combination of color outputs you're looking at for. And then still on the characteristics and the capabilities of printers, reliability and the total cost of ownership. So we're looking at the reliability, how reliable, and the total cost of ownership. So if you're looking at this, you consider warranty. Warranty tells you whether you have a warranty for any case, 1 or 2 issues. And then scheduled servicing must be some kind of scheduled servicing. Some printers will tell you after maybe a certain number of usage, a certain number of printout, there's need for servicing. And that has to be scheduled. And then mean time between failures. Mean time between failures, the timing between based on usage, of course, and then have to be considered because that's what we call component failure rate. Components are meant to fail over time, and so there's a need to look at the mean time between failures because that actually tells you whether the efficiency of the printer is dropping or not. So these are actually strong factors to be looked into. Then total cost of ownership. Total cost of ownership of the device also have to be looked into. And then initial purchase price, cost of consumable supplies, price per page, pages per month, maintenance cost, warranty cost. So these are all the conditions under the reliability and the total cost of ownership. So we're looking at this from the angle in which it tells you that, oh, once all these are in order, then you can say, oh, this is cost effective, this is reliable, this is good enough for anything you will actually want to do with it. And then let's look at automatic document feeder. For some printers, you can actually do automatic. It could pick up on its own and, print out a job and arrange it in that order. So automatic document feeder are used with some laser and inkjet models. Of course, when we talk about the laser, we're talking about printers that actually uses light. And inkjet models feed paper into the printer and then might provide collation as ordering of pages, like I said, arranges in an orderly manner. So these are various characteristics we're looking at on that printers. So printer type and comparison. So let's look at the different type of printer and possibly a comparison. look at the inkjet printer. What are the characteristics of a printer that makes it an inkjet? One, easy to use, cheaper than laser printers. They are cheaper. Advantages: low cost and expensive. They have high resolution. And then disadvantages: some noses prone to clog. So some of the noses are prone to clog, and that actually can lead to sudden breakdown. The noses are those tiny spaces that allows the movement of this printout papers, so they can easily get blocked, and that actually can lead to failure of the printer. So cartridges can be expensive, quite expensive, and then ink can be wet after printing. So one of the disadvantages with inkjet printer is that when you just print out, you have to be careful how you hold the paper, or else you see the ink spreading over the paper. So it's left for you to put all this consideration first before going to procure one. So these are some of the things you need to let our students know. So at the end of the day, they are going to work in the organization, and they will advise the organization on what kind of printers to get and why. So that means they have to present the advantages and disadvantages. And then still on inkjet printers, you can see the part, the roller. You can see the roller. This is right inside the printer. And then this is how the cartridge looks like. This is the cartridge belt. Slash the belt. You see the cartridge and the belt itself, how it goes around it. And this is a printer head. The printer head is usually where you put the small cartridges. And then this is the duplexing assemble. This is still the internal part of the printer. And then this is the feeder where paper is actually being slotted in. And then this is the ink cartridge paper. So you can see the ink cartridge paper here. So let's look at laser printers. Of course, so laser printers works like. Advantages is low cost per page, high ppm, that's print per minute, and then high capacity, high quality, fast, that uses a laser beam or lead to create an image on the paper. Print comes out very dry, unlike the inkjet. So you're also assured that if you use laser printer, this is what you get. Disadvantages: high initial cost. Toner cartridges can be expensive. So it's one thing I need to ask. Sometimes we need to ask HP why this is the case. Sometimes you buy these printers, the cartridge is almost like half the price of the printer itself. Sometimes competing with the cost of the printer, and so toner cartridge can be expensive. So laser printer characteristics. So we can see the imaging drum. There's a drum that actually the image is being printed. So it goes around this, and then you have the transfer roller. These are internal components in the laser printing, and then the pickup rollers, the pickup the whatever you're going to print out, and then this is a toner cartridge. That's a toner cartridge here, and then this is a fuser assembly, and then the duplexing assembly. These are actually all the internal components inside the laser printer characteristics. And what they do is that they all have the various functions, like the imaging, actually imprint the image, the transfer roller helps pick up whatever is being picked up from the pickup rollers is moved through the transfer rollers and all of that. So you now have the toner cartridge. So you can see the individual roles they play, and once they are all put together, gives you one just output. In other words, bringing out the complete printer. So the student ought to know this, and there's a need for, if you have a lab where you have a printer, probably it's not working, we're able to dismantle this and then compare the parts for them to know the different parts and their function. So how laser printing works. So you can see the architecture of a typical laser printer, how it works. We've seen some of this, you can see from here, if you feed in the paper here, it's being transferred through this. You can see how it has to go through the drum, and then you can see how it has to go around these, and then you get to output up there. So you can see the printer RAM here. So if you look at the processing, this printer RAM, like we said, is actually the soldering printer, which also belongs to the same category of RAMs that we have in our laptop. And so you can see the laser where the light actually beams on the paper while it rolls around the drum. Okay, so steps of the laser printer process. One, processing, convert data into printable form. So that's what the processing does. It convert the data into a printable form. And then charging. The charging does that drum is conditioned for new image. Then exposing beam, write the image to the drum using what a laser. Sorry, the exposing. So you can see the exposing there. That's number 3. What does it do? It writes the image to the drum using a laser beam as a beam of light. So you can see the relationship between the exposing and the laser here. And then developing the toner is applied to the image on the drum. And then transferring. As the paper rolls through the image, is transferred to the paper due to a charge applied to a paper. And then the fusing, that the heat and pressure are applied to the paper. So you can see there's going to be a heat effect, and then cleaning, that excess toner removed from the drum. So you can see the cleaning. The printer itself, the system, has a way of cleaning itself. That's the reason why you could actually have this process going on. And there's a need to actually once in a while carry out maintenance on printers, printers that have to go through these processes to avoid clogging of ink. Okay, and then we have the thermal printer here, which actually works with heat. The thermal printer are used in retail as part of a cash register system, and within older fax machines. There's actually you can see most cash centers probably in restaurants, places where they sell stationaries and all of that. You can go to the supermarket and all of that. So heat from the print head makes the image on the paper, and that advantages last a long time due to few moving parts. Quiet, no cost for ink or toner, reason being that it uses what? Heat. And then what are the disadvantages? Thermal paper is expensive and must be stored at a room temperature, the conditions. So the student need to know all these conditions so that when they are actually recommended one, they have to explain this to whosoever is the client, so they also know the challenges they might face. Images on thermal paper degrade over time, are poor quality, and cannot be in color. So you can have it in color, you have it in black, and then there's the possibility of it degrading over time. And then we have the impact printer characteristics. With the impact printer, let's look at the advantages. Impact printers, dot matrix and daisy wheel. So you can see the way it works. More or less looks like the you can see the layout of the impact printers completely off from the other printers. Have print heads that strike an ink ribbon within a specific number of pins. So when you send a job, you see those print head striking on the ribbon as the paper rolls through the drum. a higher number of pins means better quality. Then the advantages is that ribbons are less expensive, supplies than other types. Can use regular paper or continuous speed paper, and print carbon copies. Okay, so and then let's look at the disadvantages. It's noisy, graphics are low resolution, limited color capability. So you can see the demerit of this compared to the other printers. And then we'll talk about the virtual printer characteristics. When you say virtual, we're talking about printer in the cloud, print to file, you print to PDF, you print to XPS, that's XML paper specifications, you print to image such as JPEG or TIF. So this is virtual printer, online printer. So you can actually choose if you want it to be printed on the cloud or not. Let's look at cloud printing. So still on virtual printers, so you can see this is virtual printers. So this virtual printer is virtual in the sense that you can actually have it on the cloud, but this is another cloud printer as well. So let's look at the differences. It send a print job to remote printer somewhere on the network. So indeed you have it on the network and you can send it to. But this is you're printing to JPEG, you're printing to PDF, you're printing to. It's a way of saying you want this print in this order, you want it in JPEG, you want it in XPS, you want prints to PDF. So when you should print to PDF, it changes to PDF immediately. But these require a physical printer that's actually domiciled somewhere. So some printing companies have software that can send print jobs to other closer locations. Google Cloud Print allows you to connect your printer to the web and you can send something to your own printer no matter where you are located. So it has no geographical boundary. You can actually send it from anywhere. Okay, so that's actually for the cloud printer. A 3D printer, so you can see how 3D printer looks like. Used to create three-dimensional objects. The words, the output of the printer is actually in the 3D format. Uses plastic, filament, or other media to create the object. So you can see the 3D printers. You can see the filament. How it looks like. You can see the feeder, and then this is the hot end nozzle. You can see the axis and the print bed where the paper actually has to go through. And then all these are actually the internal component of the 3D printer. This is it. Okay. So installing and configuring printers. This part is also very important as well. In as much as we need to show our students how to install and configure printers. So for you to do that, you follow manufacturer instructions. You let them know that once they procure a printer, there's a need for them to follow the manufacturer instructions first. Remove all packing material and keep if a return is needed. Very important. Sometimes the printer driver is installed before the printer is connected to the computer. So you need to let them know this. You get a system, you connect, you power on the printer, you connect the cable to it, and then you start installation. For some of the printers, you start installing, and then after a while, it requires you to connect the printer cable. So for some, you can go ahead and do the installation directly. For some, no. The printer must be turned off, and then you put in the CD-ROM drive, or the DVD in the DVD-ROM drive, and then you start installation. So once you start installing on the computer, it prompts you after a while, requesting that you connect the printer cable, and then turn on. Do we also let you know turn on the power cable of turn on the printer as power it on, and once you power it on, it continues from there for most of the printers until you power them on. After a while, if not, the printing process might not be completed. So connect the cable to the printer and computer, or connect the network cable. Attach power cord to it. So install a printer. So in this lab, this is a lab in your curriculum. You will install a printer. You will find, download, and update the driver and software for the printer. So we can show our students how to download some of the printers software. The good news also now is that most of these modern printers, you can actually plug it directly to the system and just install it automatically on its own. But for legacy printers, you have to get the drivers. So test printer functions, still on the installation. Test all functions, including double-sided documents, different paper trays, grayscale and color, draft mode, collation. So all this will be tested after the installation. So common configuring settings. Paper type has to be standard, can be standard, draft, gloss, or photo. Print quality can be draft, normal, or photo, so you have to choose. And then color printing, multiple colors of ink are used. And then when it comes to black and white printing, only black ink is used. Grayscale printing, images printed using only black ink in different proportions to produce shades of gray. And then paper size has to be standard paper size, envelopes, and business cards. And the paper orientations, landscape or portrait. And then when the printer layout, has to be normal, banner, booklet, or poster. So these are the details for each configuration option you would love to do. So for print layout, you look at whether it's going to be normal, banner, booklet, or poster form. So you are the one who have to do the settings to be able to achieve that. Then duplex, two-sided printing, where it goes print out and then rolling again, and then print out on the last face. So you have it printed out on two faces of the paper. And the collate is print set of documents with multiple pages arranged in order. So these are some of the characteristic options and their details. And then software optimization. So when we talk about software optimization, we are actually looking at how to optimize printer performance, in other words, to boost the performance. So use the print driver software to configure print spool settings. So it actually starts spooling, it stops spooling. So what we're saying here, you can use the print driver software to do that. Calibrate the print color, set the paper orientation properly. When you do this, follow this procedure, what we're saying is that you're doing this to be able to optimize, in other words, the performance of the printer. Okay? And then use the hardware optimization. How do you optimize the hardware? You look at the RAM. Make sure the RAM is actually working. Most of these printers, even when you remove the RAM, they're still working, but though it's going to be slow. And so you can actually upgrade the RAM possibly to increase the performance. But then what you look at for is the firmware and then the printer memory. So sharing printers, how do you share printers? When you go to the printer properties, what you need to do is you can go to the control panel, locate your printer, and then right click to look at the properties. And then you can actually, when you do that, those who connect to the shared printer must have the correct print driver. So Windows can do this automatically. You can see that. So you can actually share directly from that printer. Okay. So operating system settings for sharing printers. So wireless printer connections. So you can actually look at it from the Bluetooth perspective, the Wi-Fi, and pairing between computer and printer. So you can actually use Bluetooth to do that, or you can actually use Wi-Fi. So with Wi-Fi, you can send your job. You can actually pay it as well and synchronize it to. So the pairing could be done with cable as well, and you can do it. But we're looking at wireless printer connection. So this you can actually do through Bluetooth, through infrared, whichever means, and then you get your job printed out on your personal area network. And then the lab to share a printer in Windows. So the lab here, you will share a printer, configure the printer on the network computer, and print a test page from the remote printer to see if actually it's working. So when you go to the printer, you right click, you can actually share, and then you make sure they all belong to the same domain. And then from there, you can actually send your work and then print it out. So purpose of print servers. Why do we need print servers? They provide client and access to print resources. As for print servers, administrative print jobs by storing them in queue. The administrative print jobs by storing them in queue for us, and then provide user feedback. Provide user what? Feedback. That's the purpose of a print server. So when you have a print server, you can actually set up a system that will be the print server. And every other system, can align to that system to be able to print the job. So we're saying that when you have it, you provide client access, of course, to print, administrative print jobs by storing them in queue, and then provide user with feedback to know if your work is printed or not. Okay. Software print servers. Use print server software. Disadvantages: sharing the printer might cause slow down, of course, considering the distance as well, and of course you're actually going through a proxy system. If the computer sharing the printer is down automatically, the printer is unavailable to others. So hardware print servers, you can see hardware print servers. Here you have the printer server, is a wireless router, and then is a printer. So I will want a situation whereby I'm going to give us a small assignment, but before then I will introduce us to packet trace at the end of this chapter. And then we're going to actually design this topology using a packet trace. This you will do and send to me. Okay. So dedicated print servers. So when you have a dedicated print servers, they have powerful processor. It has to be robust enough. Adequate storage space for queue document because they're actually dedicated, and so you have high volume of work, and so you must have dedicated adequate space, and then adequate memory. There must be enough memory for you to handle the tasks. So maintain and troubleshooting printers. This is very, very important. You have a printer, you need to look at the manual and look at the basic maintenance that I have to begin. So these are some of the things you need to know. And so printer to the printer documentation. So you have to refer to the printer's documentation. So we're looking at vendor guidelines. Follow recommended maintenance processes and instructions given by the vendor. Some manufacturers sell maintenance kits. Some other maintenance kits which also will be needed for preventive maintenance. So we need to watch the video that demonstrates inkjet printer preventive maintenance. That actually gives us a guide on general maintenance for printers. So in this video demonstration, you will learn how to replace the ink cartridge, which is very important for cartridges, and clean print heads, remove a paper jam, how you have to open different chambers and all of that. So I would advise that we all watch this video. Then the lab, perform preventive maintenance on an inkjet printer. So in this lab, you perform preventive maintenance on inkjet printer. Note, the lab instructions are for general reference only. So refer to the manufacturer's printer manual for instructions to perform preventive maintenance. So it's important that we let our students understand that once it's a printer, they can always look at the maintenance, that's the preventive maintenance printer manual, go through it, understand what the vendor is talking about, and then follow them in that order. That will help the printer, that will help to optimize the printer hardware and software at the same time. So I think we need to watch the various videos for each of them. And then performance preventive maintenance on laser printer. So you can, I want us also to look at this. You'll perform preventive maintenance to laser printer. Note, the lab instructions are for general reference only. So you still refer to the printers, to the manufacturer's printer manual for instructions to perform preventive maintenance on your laser printer. So you can see here that despite the fact that you need to look at carry out some tests, you have been referred to the manufacturer because the maintenance culture will have to come from there. You need to understand what is required to be able to keep the printer safe. So perform preventive maintenance on the thermal printer. How do you do that? Refer to the printer's documentation as well. Replace the paper, possibly change whatever is there. Clean the heating element with a cotton swab, dammed with isopropyl alcohol. Once you do that, clean it up. Use compressed air on a link-free cloth to remove debris. That's tiny debris, as you can see in the picture up there. So impact printer, looking at preventing maintenance. So part of the printer's operation as well, you can replace the ribbon and then check character quality. Might need to replace the print head. So you can see here, two basic things here is to look at the ribbon and then the print head. Make sure it's clean because that's where you have the cartridge being fitted in. So there's a need for you to watch a 3D printer preventive maintenance, very important. So I'll give you a guide on how it has been set up and then actually configured. So 3D printer printing a component. So you need to look at how the procedure for it, very important, advice we all read. And then the 6 steps of the troubleshooting process. This test, as you can see, actually has been like a custom for us, both at the hardware level, software level, network, and now also when it comes to printer usage. So you also need to schedule some maintenance. So if there are issues, identify the problem first, and the next thing is to establish a theory that actually led to that problem, and then you test the theory to determine the cause. Once you note that the cause, then you establish a plan of action to resolve that problem, and you implement the solution. So verify full system functionality, and if applicable, implement preventive measures. Then 6, document findings, actions, and outcomes. So this will explain on and on. So here we're looking at it from the perspective of the printer. So open any questions, identify a problem, how do you do that? What problems are you experiencing with your printer? You need to ask this question to either the customer, or you need to come up with this kind of questions to be able to analyze the problem. What software or hardware has been changed recently on your computer? what were you doing when the problem was identified, and what error messages have you received. So oftentimes the error messages received could be a guide, so that will help you to identify the problem. Close-ended questions now will be: is the printer under warranty? You need to find out that. If it is, then you need to see the vendor. Can you print a test page to check it out? Is it a new printer? Is the printer powered on? Because if it's not powered on, definitely it will not work. So these are actually closed-ended questions. And of course, you're still trying to identify the problem. So you can see here, establish a theory of probable cause. So now you can establish a theory. How do you do that? Common causes of printer problems: loose cable connections, paper jams, equipment power. Check it out. Low ink warning. You need to look if that actually you after identify the problem, and then you're now trying to establish a theory. So you're trying to find out if actually there's a low ink warning, out of paper, errors on equipment display. These are actually the errors tells you what the problems are. There's some errors that will just show you, oh, this error is actually talking about the drum. This error is actually telling you that the cartridge is not fitted well. And errors on the computer screen. Then you test the theory. When you test the theory, you follow some guide. You start the printer or scanner to refresh the whole system, disconnect and reconnect the cables. Restart the computer, check printer for paper jam, receipt paper in paper trays, open the closed printer trays, ensure printer doors are closed, install a new ink or toner cartridge, possibly. Maybe the cartridge, any of them is bad. There's a need for it to actually replace. So you may not know that it's bad, but when you replace the good one, it starts working. And then you establish a plan of action on how to go about it. In this case, if no solution is achieved in the previous step, further research is needed to implement the solution. So help desk repair bugs, other technicians, manufacturers, people to ask questions, technical website. You see, you're trying to establish an action to resolve the problem and implement the solution. So when you go through some of these online forums, you go to news groups, you look at technical websites, this actually gives you some guide on what to do, as to give you a plan of action to implement. You advise your students to use all these forums. They help a lot. There might be some challenges, and once they go to this site, and then it helps to actually see how these problems are solved, and then you follow the steps, procedures, and then you're good to go. Verify full functionality. Reboot the computer. Reboot the printer. Print a test page to see from the printer control panel. And then print a document from an application to be sure it's working. You have actually resolved the problem. So reprint the customer's problem document and be sure that now it's working for the customer. And then document your findings. This is very important. So you have to, after pulling all the problems, maybe complained by the customer, and you follow some plan of action, and then resolve them. There's a need for you now to document these findings. So you can see the process in which this technician is trying to identify printer problems and then possible solution. So here you can actually look at the common problems that are associated with and solutions for printers. So an application document does not print. What do? Printer cannot be added, or there is a print spooler error. So you can actually see problems and possible solutions. So I advise that we also work through this to look at problems that are happening around us that are printers, look at possible solutions. If you look at the different solutions that are being used to solve those problems, your ability to go through them helps you. Like in this case, paper jams, just imagine a problem where paper jams when printing. So you need to look at the printer jobs are faded. So if you see such thing, then you need to begin to say, okay, this paper jam when printing, what could be the solution? Because that's a problem. And once you notice that, you now begin to ask, oh, could it be that the paper is wet? Could it be that the paper is not well placed? Could it be that? And each of these, I'm saying, once you adjust them, they solve this particular kind of problem. So there might be a problem that is unique and might have different solutions. So we have to, that's the reason why we have to explore issues like this and look at possible ways of doing that through this model I showed us before. That's the model of actually going online, looking at device manuals, computer manuals, news group, internet search. All those will help us to be able to resolve our problem. Okay? So in summary, it's expected that at the end of this trade class, the student is able to identify all the various types of printers we have, watch videos to see how these printers are actually installed. So you need to play these videos with them over and over, very important. Possibly you can download similar videos from YouTube and then watch. And then if you have this live equipment in your lab, perfect. Then you demonstrate some of these things. But the good thing here is that there's a need for the students, the pupils or students to actually watch so many faults associated to printers, which you can provide through Google or whichever way. And you're providing them because you want them to watch the different problems like related to printers and how they can be resolved. That also helps to build their skills in the aspect of printer repairs. And then actually demonstrating all this will go a long way by making sure you have printers in the lab for them to actually practice it. So that is that's all about chapter 8. Except there are any questions, then you can ask. Any question?
Not from my side. Teachers, do you have any question? If so, please unmute and ask your questions now.
Any question?
No question?
Okay. Marilyn?
Yep.
Is it okay by you that we have the practical on Saturday?
The practical? Sorry, can you repeat? If it's okay to have what on Saturday? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Is it possible?
I didn't hear you. Is it possible what on Saturday?
Yes, in the next class. I actually have plans to take us through the packet tracer, the topology, but then in the interim, I did feed that maybe we could play around the packet tracer before the next one, so that I'll be able to justify the part of the network, that's chapter 5 and chapter 5, 6, which has to do with network. So we need to actually demonstrate it. So our students need to know how to use the packet tracer.
Okay, so you want to explain packet tracer on Saturday?
Exactly.
Okay. It's
So
okay for me.
I want everybody to I want everybody to have their
the calculator installed, right?
so that those folks who are actually using mobile phone and all of that should be in a place where they can use their laptop by the next class. Is it possible?
I will ask. Oh. I will ask for it.
Okay. So
I will ask the teachers to connect from laptop if possible. Hello? Hello? We lost you again. Hello? We cannot hear. Hello? Dr. Daniel, we lost you. We cannot hear you. Dr. Daniel?
Sorry, it's actually raining around here, so once it's raining, we're going to have some problem. So, like I was saying, is it possible?
I was telling that I will ask the teachers to connect from the laptop if possible, and we'll do our best.
So, well agreed. We're going to come with our laptop. We're going to be with our laptop on Saturday.
Yeah, we'll do our best to connect from the laptop. In some cases, you know that they are not in places with good connection, so it's possible that some of them cannot do it, but we'll try our best. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So maybe I'll find out from you by tomorrow evening if that's possible with all of them. Then we'll have it.
Again, we will try our best, but we cannot ensure as in some cases. If there is a network problem or anything, it will be in that moment. But I will ask them to connect from laptop, everyone on Saturday, and let's see if it's possible.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you guys on Saturday.
See you. Thank you. Have a nice evening.
And you too.
Hello, teacher.
Okay.
Teacher. Hello, this is Madeline. Hello.